D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. We are live at Bridgestone Arena, where the Predators will play their final home game before the NHL's Olympic break against the Minnesota Wild. Puck drop at 7, pregame at 6, right here on 102.5 The Game. Predators GM Barry Trotz will join us at 5 p.m. for his weekly chat. Nothing going on with Barry Trotz this week. I don't know what we will discuss with Barry Trotz. Jonathan Hutton from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow will join us at 4 o'clock today. He was kind enough to move an hour earlier so that we could have Barry Trotz on the program. Derek, it's time for everybody's new favorite segment, Mace in Your Face.
Yes.
60 seconds on the clock and go.
And this is a complaint that I think everyone has in America, even the world. When you're driving down the street, people, know where you're going, okay? Please know where you're going. Understand that there are people behind you. Know where you're going. Don't stop, pull off, stop, put your blinker on, then put your blinker on, and you're going in a zigzag. And I'm just sitting behind a person like, can you please make a decision? If you can't make a decision, what do? Pull over.
Get out of your way.
Get out of the way of traffic behind you. It was this lady in front of me today as I'm coming here to work to Bridgestone. And she zooms, like we're stopping at a stoplight. She zoomed past me. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm good. Then she gets in my lane. Then she swerves. Then she stops. Then she goes. Then she puts her blinker on right. Then she put her blinker on left. Then she finally turns. I'm like, listen, ma'am, you could have pulled over, looked at your directions, and then made your decision. Don't make a decision while other people are behind you.
All righty. Do you feel better?
I feel much better.
I think we can all relate. And it's not fun.
Exactly.
It's not fun at all. If I may take a moment to rant about something for a minute.
Absolutely.
Today was a sad day for those of us who love sports journalism. The Washington Post, it's been reported for a few weeks, but they made it official today. The Washington Post killed their sports department. And on a day like today, it is easy to be wistful about the good old days and wax poetic about the history of the Washington Post sports section, which, for my money, was the most influential in all of sports. I read it almost daily. The reporters who worked there were titans of the industry and still are in many cases. But I'm just angry because so many talented people lost their jobs as journalism continues to get flushed down the toilet. And I know the way people consume news has changed dramatically, but this hurts sports fans maybe without them realizing it. Let's keep it local. I was laid off by The Athletic nearly 4 years ago, and it never replaced me. There is no local Predators coverage on that website. The Tennessean does not spend money to cover the Predators the way it did when I was there, which makes it harder for Alex Daugherty to tell the most important stories about the Predators. So I just wanted to mention it at the start of the show. In summary, it sucks, and I'm angry about it. So
let me second what you said, Adam, because I feel the same way. It saddens me that you don't get the sports coverage, and really it doesn't stop there. It's all news coverage.
Yes.
It's not what it needs to be. It's important, and I definitely took note of what happened with the Washington Post, and recently with the New York Times, they redid their whole sports department. Some people that I know really well that I went to school with, or they went to Vanderbilt, have been affected by it. I know you were a couple years ago, and a lot of good media people in our city are ready, raring to go to cover the teams, but they need somebody. They need a news outlet to back them and do it right. So it's a problem. I'm bummed out about it too. So let's spin it to a little bit more of a positive note. Today is National Women in Sports Day. So to all of the people that cover sports here in this town who are women, there's so many of them. I can't even list them all. I will single out Lindsay Rowley and Kara Hammer from our team on FanDuel Sports. They'll be rocking to go tonight for the big game against the Wild. But a salute to the women in sports out there.
A salute.
Yeah, today is your day.
Today is your day.
Every day is your day.
Yes, that's right. Now, I have a question for everybody in here and everybody listening in the car, in the office, at home. Raise your hand if you watch the Pro Bowl games. Anybody?
Willie?
Anybody?
Do we even need to ask?
Adam? Derek?
No.
It's a
No.
complete waste
No.
of time.
No, I did not. And Derek, you made this point. I sent y'all a box score
Yes.
of the Pro Bowl games. By the way, I believe the NFC won 66-52. Congratulations to the NFC. But I sent y'all a box score without realizing that there were no stats in it. It just had the score of the game. And I know it's flag football and all of that, but I'm just wondering at what point pro sports leagues will just retire all-star games. I just don't get excited about all-star games the way I used to when I was younger. And the Pro Bowl games, as I said, it's flag football. It's been like that for a few years. The NFL changed it this year. First of all, they put it on a Tuesday, the Tuesday of Super Bowl week. They put it on a Tuesday. Tuesday's not a football day. We're used to Sunday and Monday and Thursday, the occasional Friday or Saturday in the NFL, but not Tuesday. So they put it on a Tuesday. It was at a convention center, and it was a really small, custom-built field and sort of a made-for-TV event. Mm-hmm. And I just don't know who this appeals to.
Nobody. Well, I guess it does appeal to some people because they had, 4 million viewers. So it does appeal to some people, but I don't think enough to they need to just scrap it all because the NFL is the worst when it comes to all-star games. We have our gripes with baseball and basketball and not so much hockey, but baseball and basketball. We have our gripes with this, but it's nothing like the NFL. Nothing. They might as well just scrap the whole week because you end up getting guys. I think Joe Flacco was named to the and listen,
Shedeur Sanders famously a Pro Bowler.
Neither one, and I like, I played with Joe. I respect Joe. I like Joe. But he doesn't, you're down to your 8th quarterback because of circumstances. Guys couldn't play, guys injured. You're down to your 8th guy. It's like it means nothing.
You were a 2-time Pro Bowler.
Yes.
So let me ask you this question. Does the format of the Pro Bowl, as we now know it, diminish what it means to be named a Pro Bowler?
Yes, it does. And because now you're down to guys that play half the season, guys that started 5, 6, 7 games, guys that really don't. The Pro Bowl is back in the day when you were voted to the Pro Bowl, it was an esteemed honor. It was like, okay, the players voted on it. It meant something. Like, I'm going to the Pro Bowl, your first Pro Bowl. You're playing an actual game. And I get it, guys. But that second half of the game was always a tough out. Now, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean a damn thing. And the only reason the NFL is choosing to continue to keep this going is because it brings some money in. Well, I don't know how much, but it brings some money in.
Let me tell you this from Front Office Sports. The 2025 Pro Bowl games averaged 4.7 million viewers, down 18% in the 3rd straight annual decline. Given the NFL's dominance over not only the rest of sports, but all of U.S. television and culture, the continued viewership struggles of the Pro Bowl and then the Pro Bowl games remain a significant outlier. That television audience for last year's event was less than 2/3 of the comparable 7.2 million average for MLB's 2025 All-Star Game in July. So 4.7 million is a big number, but not for the NFL.
You know what the NFL should do, honestly?
What's that?
And this is what the NBA saw it. The NBA is going, I think they talked about it where it's, the U.S. versus the world in their All-Star game, which I think if indeed they do it, it will garner a lot of viewership. The NFL should do a pros versus Joes almost. No. Get guys that play in flag football leagues that go to these tournaments
Right.
that are well put together. Get them to go against NFL. I guarantee, at least for the first year, I guarantee you those numbers will spike. Because people want to see, like, I want to see the Joes go against the pros. I think that's at least a way they can bump it, at least for 1 year, and see how it goes. Because right now the format is nobody wants to watch this stuff. Nobody. It's like, again, I don't even think half of those guys want to play in it. But they get the free swag, they get the free trip, everything is paid for, it's comp. So good. But you gotta, even though I said it's all a money thing, but how much money are you spending to get a product like this? And how much money are these networks giving you for a product like this? It's just like nobody gives a damn about the Pro Bowl no more. Nobody.
The last time I cared about the Pro Bowl was when Sean Taylor obliterated, was it Brian Moorman?
It was the kicker, yes.
The Bills punter?
Yes.
Is that the right name? And that was what? 15 years ago at this point? Something like that?
And I get why, because of the physicality of the sport.
That was the 2007 Pro Bowl, by the way.
And you don't want to put guys, at risk of, getting hurt in the game. If that's the case, don't play it at all. I just don't see a need for the Pro Bowl anymore, honestly. That's just me.
The NHL, Willie, took the step when the NHL All-Star Game was here about 10 years ago of changing the format to the 3-on-3 format. And that was a lot of fun. But even now, I think that format has gone stale. There's not an All-Star Game this year because of the Winter Olympics. But you saw the smashing success of the Four Nations face-off. And if that becomes an annual or close to annual event for the NHL, that is so much better than an actual All-Star Game. Major League Baseball took the step at one point, right? The winner of the All-Star Game had home field advantage in the World Series.
Right.
So
they figured out that wasn't really.
How about
just
doing
here's the thing. Here's the thing. If you're going to play the game.
Yeah.
Play a game. Compete.
Yeah.
If as long as you're competing, you can do things to lessen the risk of injury. Let's not have big hits. That's why they went 3-on-3 and it works better in the NHL. But if you're just going to goof around and nobody cares who wins, nobody wants to watch that. I remember when the NBA All-Star Game used to be a great game.
Yeah.
It'd be something you really want to watch because those guys had pride and wanted to show their stuff. Now it's just I don't know. You got Steph Curry shooting from half court and stuff. I mean, it's a joke. It's a joke. So I agree. Either play, just the players have to decide to play, and let's have some talks about preserving or minimizing risk of injury. But if you can't play, then let's not do it. Pretty simple. The Pro Bowl is a complete waste of time. I don't know why we're even talking about the Pro Bowl.
They're not going back to pads, though. We know that.
Yeah.
But if you want to make it interesting,
but I don't think football has a way to do it. I don't think they can do it.
I think what can help them is if they invite the public, meaning these flag football teams. If they invite them, have a tournament, the AFC versus the NFC, and whoever wins playing in the finals against the top two, against the top flag football team, adult flag football team out there. I almost guarantee you that will garner more viewership than what it has the last 2 years. Because it's a laugh. I would rather watch, honestly, the flag football game before that. I think it was the day before the girls were playing. I'd rather watch that than the NFL guys, because it's a sham, man, and they all know it.
Do you mind if I take a moment or two to be the old man who yells at the cloud? I know that I am the youngest one on the panel, but there was something I saw last night when I was watching a game that, for whatever reason, drives me bonkers. So I was watching the Duke game last night, Duke versus Boston College. Duke was wearing its alternate uniforms, which are navy. And I guess the team got a shipment of new shoes from Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum went to Duke. He's actually been around the team more this season as he recovers from his Achilles injury. And the shoes were all yellow. It looked like they were wearing bananas on their feet. It drives me nuts when players wear shoes that don't match the color of their uniforms. I don't know why it bothers me so much, but it does. I was watching Duke play. Duke is blue and white, and they're wearing yellow shoes.
Which don't
I
does
don't
blue
like
go
it.
with yellow? I don't know.
I don't like it.
The horse is out of the barn on that one.
That's just-
I'm with you. I think that should be part of the uniform, but it is now considered a little area for players. And baseball is the same way. Baseball guys have taken the liberties of the shoes and even the sleeves and batting gloves and stuff of just putting a complete random color on there. I don't get it, but
Can it be
I don't.
somewhere
I'm
in the
trying not
palette?
to be Adam, the old man yells at cloud, and he's the youngest guy. It bothers him, so I feel a little better, I guess.
I
It's called
mean,
style, guys.
imagine a player for the Mets. The Mets are playing. Player comes up to bat. You know the Mets.
You don't have to imagine it.
I know.
That's what they do.
I know, but I'm painting a picture for the audience. And the Mets wear orange and blue, and the batter's wearing neon green cleats. I don't.
Frankie Lindor does that all the time. He has about 12 different colors he wears during the season.
Something about it, I don't know why it bothers me,
And I understand,
but it does.
I understand doing it on certain months. I get that, but when it's just, and I know why they do it, it's drawing attention to themselves and the sneaker, and maybe the company want to push this sneaker out and or this cleat out, and so more young kids, because that's young kids do it. You see it throughout. Oh yeah, those are bad. Michigan should have those shoes on.
That's what I'm saying.
But you see kids all around, whether it be these 7-on-7 tournaments. I don't think I see it so much in like team like schools. They try to keep it, whether it's black, white, or something that matches your color to your uniform. But you see it all the time. In these AAU leagues where teams are wearing, these loud colors, and I get it, for a kid, it's great. But I just think once you get to the professional level, man, some of that stuff you need to calm down.
All right, I think we've complained enough.
Yeah, we a bunch of two old men and a youngster.
I'm old at heart. 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. On second thought, I'm not sure we're done complaining yet, because there is a story in college football that I, quite frankly, just don't understand. And we will get to that coming up next. 615-737-1025. We are live at Bridgestone Arena. Predators versus Wild at 7 p.m. Pregame at 6, right here on 1025 The Game.
Hey, this is Derek Mason. If you injured yourself in a motorcycle accident, go to lawtigers.com for your free case evaluation. Even if it was months ago, you have nothing to lose by calling Law Tigers. Insurance companies want to pay out as little as possible or nothing at all, but Law Tigers fights to get you the compensation you deserve, and they don't get paid until your case has been settled. They understand how much your bike and gear means to you, so they will help you get it all get it repaired or replaced. So call 1-800-LAW Tigers or visit lawtigers.com. Law Tigers is powered by Freeman and Houston, and you can find them in Nashville, located at 2126 21st Ave South. And don't forget, go to predatorsbike.com to enter to win a custom Nashville Predator Indian motorcycle signed by the entire team. Adam took a look at it yesterday, and it's a pretty cool bike.
Indeed.
Absolutely. So for all your favorite players will be on it, courtesy of Law Tigers and Music City, Indian. Law Tigers, Tennessee's motorcycle lawyers.
D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick 1025. The game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Al on our text line says DVD should be renamed to OLD. To quote Big Joe, good Lord. I know. I had a senior moment with the shoes thing. But look, a team that wears blue with no history of wearing yellow should not be wearing yellow shoes. I'm just saying. I'm a traditionalist.
When Adam gets mad at Duke, you know it's really bothering him.
Yes.
I mean, it did not take away the enjoyment of watching them win last night, but it was just weird to look at. And, it is what it is. Kids these days, who am I to argue? But even though I did complain for 5 minutes.
My compromise would be as individual as you want with the flair, to use the old Office Space. Is that the name of the movie?
Pieces of Flair with Office Space.
Office Space, the pieces of flair.
Yes.
But within the color scheme.
Yeah.
Just don't go outside the color scheme.
I'm fine with
I
that.
like that.
Go bright. Like if you got orange, you want to go like neon and go loud orange, extra orange.
Yeah, then do it.
If your colors are orange and blue, then do that. But the neon other colors, no.
Hold on to that thought about orange for a second. Justin from Greenbrier says, I agree that it's annoying for professionals, but my son, who plays soccer, used to have neon yellow cleats, but now his cleats are bright pink. Their school colors are green, white, and gray. Makes them easier to spot on the field. So
there's that.
Yeah, there's that. Speaking of orange, Joey Aguilar suing the NCAA for yet another year of eligibility, which would be his 8th year of eligibility. He has been granted a temporary restraining order in his lawsuit against the NCAA as he seeks that extra year of eligibility. What are we doing here, guys? What are we doing here?
It's ridiculous.
Joey Aguilar will be 25 years old when the Vols kick off next season. 8 years of eligibility. I can't wrap my head around it. The Athletic points out, similarly to what happened with Diego Pavia. And Aguilar, I think, at one point was part of Diego Pavia's lawsuit, if I'm not mistaken. But the Athletic writes, quote, Aguilar is challenging NCAA rules that count seasons in junior college against his eligibility clock. His first season in junior college was in 2019 at San Francisco City College, where he redshirted. After the pandemic shut down JUCO competition in 2020, he played 2 seasons at Diablo Valley Community College in California before joining Appalachian State in 2023. The 24-year-old, he will be 25 when the season starts, played the 2023 and 2024 seasons at App State, then transferred to Tennessee.
So basically what they're saying is no matter how many years, this is his case if I've got this right, no matter how many years you go to junior college, it doesn't count. So why wouldn't everybody, for an advantage, go to junior college for about 4 years and then go to college when you're 22 and then spend 23 through 26 in college? Like, at some point it gets absurd. Like, I cannot try out for the 12 and under Little League baseball team on the small field as much as I would like to. I mean, there has to be a time where you move on. And we keep moving the line, and it is ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense at all to me, that junior college just doesn't count. I know it's tied to the NIL, I guess, but no. Somebody please stop the madness. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with the courts, but like at some point a school's got to say, no, sorry, Joey, you can't come back. You got to move on.
This is
like all the colleges have to set it. Like you've played long enough. We've got younger guys coming up through the system. This is our system of college athletics. Kids graduate from high school. They go on to college. They play. Let's keep it moving.
I get why he's doing it. One has to be money. And maybe he doesn't think that, he's ready for the NFL. So you understand the why, but there has to be, a line of demarcation where it's like, okay, enough is enough. You've outaged yourself from amateur competition. You're 25 years old playing. Don't you age out, age, if that's even a right term. In high school, you do, right? You can't, after your birthday, you can't turn 19 before
Yeah,
a certain date.
yeah.
And if you do, you can't play.
Right.
Shouldn't that be the same in college?
Absolutely, it should be the same.
Should be the same in college.
I have no idea why they don't do that. Why haven't they done that years and years ago? That was before COVID. High school had
Exactly.
that rule in there because they had some common sense. You don't want 25-year-olds playing in high school. So it's the same in college. It's no different at all. My kids weren't in college when the pandemic hit. They were out of luck. They missed their spring season of the 1 year in 2020. A lot of the fall season the next year. They had a summer where there was a lot of stuff. You know what? We got through it. We lived. We're not sitting there going, hey, can we go back and play 8th grade or 9th grade again, or my junior year in lacrosse? We don't do that, right? We moved on. But all the college kids, oh my gosh, we didn't get to play our 1 year, and so I want 5 more years of eligibility. That's what's been happening.
But it's not.
It's so dumb. Why doesn't anybody see the stupidity of the whole thing? And my school is benefiting just as much as any other school. It's stupid.
Okay,
It's
hold
stupid.
on, because we did get a couple of texts.
Okay.
Right.
Josh and Tommy. Josh says, you guys weren't complaining when Pavia came back. Tommy says, why is it not okay for Aguilar, but it was fine for Pavia?
It wasn't fine for Pavia.
No.
But Pavia,
but
that was
goes
last
out.
year. I mean, Aguilar was in the same boat as Pavia. Now he's getting in a new boat for a whole nother year, is what he's trying to do.
Pavia, I don't think Pavia went if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong with this. Pavia, did he spend 2 years at JUCO?
Yes, I believe he did.
Spent 2 years at JUCO, but he ultimately got 5 years? 2 years in JUCO and 3 or 4? 2 years in New Mexico. In a year, no, he got 2 years.
He got 6 years.
So he got a total of 6. Yeah, so it wasn't right for Diego as well.
I didn't like
if indeed that was the case.
Pavia started playing at New Mexico Military Institute in 2020.
The 1 year after Aguilar.
Yeah, the NCAA did not count that season toward eligibility because of the COVID pandemic. He led the junior college to the 2021 national championship, then played at New Mexico State in 2022 and 2023 before transferring to Vanderbilt in 2024.
Well, he only played 5 years.
Well, he played his
But he has spent 2
argument
years
that he
in
won.
JUCO. He
Right.
has spent 2 years in JUCO.
He argued successfully that he deserved the 4th year playing outside of the junior college range at the major college level. That's what he got, because he played 2 years at New Mexico State and 2 years at Vanderbilt. Aguilar got to junior college the year before Pavia did.
Played 2 years in junior college.
He
and
played
now
more than that, right? Aguilar played. He was in junior college for 4 years.
His first season in junior college was in 2019. He redshirted in 2019.
Yeah, his ass needs to be out. This is nothing like Diego. It's nothing like Diego. I mean, no,
it's more.
Go to the NFL.
He's going to a next level from
go
Diego.
to the NFL.
But I honestly didn't like the thinking on Diego or any of the other players who end up still playing when you're 24, 20. If they just had an age limit, all of this would take care of itself.
I think everything would. If you turn a certain age by a certain time,
that's
then
it.
You lose.
Yeah, you're out of eligibility,
and that may stop guys from constantly transferring and whatnot like that. But again, listen, UT is going to take advantage of it because as we sit now, there's a stay and a restraining order, so he gets to participate with the team, and I think they have their hearing Friday, if I'm not mistaken. So after that, we'll see what takes place, but. And we will discuss this a little bit more, but if indeed they allow this to go through, the NFL, the NCAA, just dismantle yourself. Just go away. Nobody wants to see you anymore. Tommy, you don't even have to answer the phones anymore. Because if this does happen, if they grant this, it's going to be a floodgate. It's going to open the floodgates, man.
Well,
you thought NIL opened floodgates? You do this, and it's going to open even more of the floodgates.
Right. So just to set the record straight, Pavia this past year was 23. He turns 24 in a couple of weeks.
It's
so that's still old for me. Like to 23, I think should be the max that you should play because that's a red shirt. Right? If 5 years, the old 5 years to play 4 is a reasonable thing.
So that's what he did. That's what Diego did.
Well, from an age standpoint, at least, he did spend the 2 years at junior college. But if you're arguing that you should be eligible at 25, that's to me that's a big stretch. Like why it would be very easy to just have 25-year-olds are not eligible to play.
Well, NCAA eligibility is under attack right now. There's the Charles Bediako situation with Alabama.
Mhm.
There's Amari Bailey, the former UCLA player, who's played games in the NBA,
Yeah.
who's trying to go back to college. I know this is a trite term. It's overused. It's the wild, wild west out there. It truly is.
Well, these young men and women, and more so on the men's side, they understand that they can make money now.
Yep.
And they would rather, because they know that if they're not a high pick, whether it be the NBA or the NFL, then they will tend to make more money in college that final year, than they would in the NFL or in the NBA. So it's just now that, again, because there are no guardrails or NIL, and I don't blame the athlete for saying, listen, I'm not ready for the NBA or the NFL. I may be a third round, fourth round pick, maybe later than that. The money is not. I can go back in college and make just as much or even more by staying. So, because I'm the top dog, especially the guys that are going to continue, you're going to continue to see do this, is the quarterbacks. It's going to be the quarterbacks. I'm not sure how many guys outside, because the quarterback is only one on each team that can play. I know some teams try to do two but it never works. When you don't have one, you don't have none. But a quarterback, because they can, it's like, man, constantly transferring. I think guys are gonna just be like, man, I would rather just come back next year and develop more, earn more money, and then go into the draft.
A couple of texters point this out. Keegan and Chris. Keegan says, Willie said the age should be 23, but BYU would have to shut down the entire sports program. How rude and unfair for the Mormons. Chris says, if you cap it at 25, then BYU would not have a team any longer.
Well, that is up to BYU. I know that's always been in there, and there's also be some.
Pardon my ignorance. I'm not aware of the BYU.
It's a religious thing
right,
for them.
The
Yeah.
Mormons, many times they will go on a 2-year mission
trips, right,
and they will come back and retain their eligibility, and so that is something that they have utilized for better or worse. Like some people maybe come back and they're maybe not as good as they used to be, but a lot of times it is an advantage because you're older.
Are there military schools like that?
There are,
or they wait until
there are
they
people
graduate?
that go into military service and then come back and start their eligibility. I've seen that, and then of course there's the Chris Winkies and Quincy Carters. You go play minor league baseball, and then you come back as if you're a college freshman. And Chris Winkie, who I played minor league ball with at the Blue Jays, he was 28. He won the Heisman Trophy. To me, you just close it. To me, there's no common sense there. Just look, either you want to play, this is your college window, and this is, if not, then that's fine, and all the other stuff should be moot, I think, regardless of the reason, religion or baseball or COVID or anything. This is life.
615-737-1025. Your thoughts on Joey Aguilar suing the NCAA for an 8th year. I said 8th year of eligibility. He received a temporary restraining order today. Should we call him Thornton Mellon or Van Wilder? It depends on how old you are. 615-737-1025. We'll take your reaction and continue the conversation coming up next. 615-737-1025. We are live at Bridgestone Arena. David James is back at the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service.
Did you hear I finally graduated?
Yeah, and just a shade under a decade, too. All right.
You know, a lot of people go to college for 7 years.
I know. They're called doctors.
There we go.
Not sure Joey Aguilar is going to be having the same conversation if he is granted an 8th year of eligibility. He is suing the NCAA for that. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you live at Bridgestone Arena. Predators versus Wild tonight. Puck drop at 7. Pregame at 6 right here on 102.5 The Game. Barry Trotz will join us at 5 o'clock. Keegan on our text line says, essentially, Willie, that's a BYU problem. Willie hates Mormons. Everyone, you heard it here first.
It's got nothing to do with religion. It's
Exactly.
just it's age. It's whatever the reason is.
I know. I think Keegan was teasing
No,
you out.
I get it, but I know it's the way they've been doing it for a long time, which is part of the reason probably they haven't made the rule.
Yeah, because of that.
But it's just it's a slippery slope that they've let everybody slide.
Everybody got on
COVID
skates.
changed everything, right? Everyone's like, well,
Free fall.
we got to give them this year. Well, they know that this school didn't play the next year, so that's 2 years you get. It was 2 free years.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was only for those kids that age. It wasn't for the kids in middle school or high school at the time. Only that cross-section of kids is special enough to get the extra couple years. That's what got everything messed up.
And obviously, they're going to want to try to get this back in order, but still, it does affect those kids that were not a part of the COVID sort of, eligibility.
Yeah.
And it puts them behind, older individuals, which is, it's unfair, but this is the way of college sports. Now, I wonder, once they make this ruling, which I think it is Friday, if indeed they choose to, or they agree with Aguilar and his camp that, because of the circumstance, he should be granted another year, man, it's just going to be a free fall, man. And it may, who it may help, and I think you guys mentioned this earlier, it may help the JUCO, because, if I'm a 3-star quarterback, and I get drafted, or 4-star quarterback, and I get recruited in, to Alabama, one of these other. And listen, I know I ain't playing this year. And to go get developed, I go to a JUCO for a year or two, because now it doesn't mean anything as far as my eligibility. I can go play at JUCO and still have my 4 or 5 years of eligibility. Who wouldn't do that all while getting paid going to JUCO?
Yeah, well, let's take hockey. We've got a big hockey game here tonight. What's happening with hockey? A lot of American players go play in the USHL for a couple. Not even in school.
Mhm.
You just go play. I don't even know if you get paid. I mean, I guess you sort of do, but they delay. And college coaches are like, yeah, go ahead and develop in that. Doesn't count. And then I'll bring you in as a 20-year-old freshman.
Exactly.
And now you got 23, 24-year-old guys as seniors. And those guys can beat the 18, 19-year-old phenoms that are coming up. And so they've been using that for a long time. So all college sports have been affected by this. It's not just a football thing.
No, it's
or
it's
basketball
not.
thing.
That's why I said if they side with Aguilar and his camp, his lawyers, then I do believe that now you've opened up this lane for those, and I'm sure it may be more quarterbacks than anything going to some of these top JUCO colleges, because one, I get the development and I'm getting paid, but the most important thing is it doesn't count toward my eligibility. So if I go as a 2-star or a 3-star guy, get developed at this JUCO, and then now let the bidding begin, and I got a full 4 years. So I done already played 2 years of college football, developed, older, and now I got a full 4 years to play college football if I choose to. That to me it doesn't seem fair, but I guarantee you, if they side with Aguilar, then there may be some that choose to do that.
The NCAA released a statement to On3 following the restraining order that Joey Aguilar received. It reads in part, quote, "We will continue to defend the NCAA's eligibility rules against repeated attempts to rob high school students of the opportunity to compete in college and experience the life-changing opportunities only college sports can create. Sidebar, did Willie write this? The NCAA and its member schools are making changes to deliver more benefits to student athletes, but the patchwork of state laws and inconsistent conflicting court decisions make partnering with Congress essential to provide stability for all college athletes. End quote. That sounded straight out of the Willie Donick Unity and Friendship Handbook right there.
But I mean, listen, in this the perfect world, then yes, this is way, you should, if you going to college, if you go to JUCO, that should, count as, a year or 2 years in college because you're getting a development. But in today's football, that's not, or today's sports period, it's not going to happen. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do side with Aguilar, and then this opening up the floodgates, because it's not just him that is sore. I could see if he was the lone man on this, the one single person that's doing this, him in his camp. But you named off 2 or 3 other guys that are going through this, and that's just the start. Eventually, there will be more guys. Come next year, I'm sure there will be more guys that want that 5th or really that 6th or 7th year.
Let's go to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHunting.com, and welcome in David. David, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yes, if Aguilar is allowed to go back to college, shouldn't LeBron be able to retire this year and go back to high school since he never went to high school and had 4 years spare?
You mean he never went to college? So in theory, LeBron has six or 8 or 10 years of college eligibility that he can use.
Yes,
with the new rules.
Craig on our text line says, I'm not a Tennessee or a Vandy fan, but how is Aguilar wanting another year any different than Pavia? They both want to play longer than allowed. People on the text line are arguing with our differing opinions on Joey Aguilar and Diego Pavia in this situation.
Again, I think it's, from an age standpoint, it's different. And again, this would be, in total, this would be what, his 6th year?
Aguilar?
Yeah.
This would be his 8th year of eligibility.
How many years did Diego get? Did he get 8 years? Which
No.
It wouldn't have been fair, but he didn't get 8.
Well,
he wasn't.
Pavia got 2 years playing at JUCO and then 4 years playing in NCAA Division I.
Exactly.
So he got the extra year because in the old rules that, like, you could go to JUCO for a year because you had 5 years to play 4. That was the strict thing, right? So you go to junior college for 1 year. That's one. But you could, I mean, that could be a red shirt, right? Or something like, I guess you said Aguilar red shirted the first year.
Yes.
So you burn that. But so the difference is that Pavia had 2 years playing at JUCO and then 4 years playing. In the past, he would have, one of those years, he would have run out of eligibility.
Yep.
So you had the 5 years to play 4. I guess junior college, if you play, I don't know what the old rule was about junior college. You play 2 years at JUCO. A lot of guys would play 1 year there. But Aguilar, he was at junior college for how long? He was 2019, 2020 that they didn't play, then 21 and 22?
Correct.
So he was there in junior college for 4 years.
Yes.
Yep,
that's a lot.
He got there. He redshirted in 2019.
He redshirted in 2019.
It got canceled in 20.
Correct. He played 2 years in 2021 and 2022.
So he's 2 years older than Pavia.
This is
2 years older than Pavia.
This is not like Pavia. It's not. It's different.
Joey from Bellevue says, do you guys think colleges will write in clauses to the student athletes that if they leave college to enter the pros, even if they have eligibility, they can't return to college to play if they failed in the pros?
I mean,
hopefully you don't have to take that step.
Yeah, that's how it always was. Once you enter,
should it not be self-explanatory?
It should be, but the rule is there. Once you enter into the NFL draft, you can't then come back because you got a year or 2 of eligibility. There are a lot of guys that chose to leave their junior year, either their redshirt junior year or their true junior year, and it didn't work out for them in the NFL. Those guys couldn't come back to college.
So
to get that last year.
Here's the story about Amari Bailey. We're switching from football to basketball. I am reading from ESPN.com. Former UCLA standout Amari Bailey said he is attempting to become the first basketball player to return to college after playing in NBA games. He said he started to explore a return to college earnestly in 2025, but has wondered whether there was a way back to the NCAA since the day he was drafted in 2023. He said he made some mistakes as an 18-year-old freshman and left UCLA with, quote, a lot to prove left on the table. Quote, right now I'd be a senior in college. I'm not trying to be 27 years old playing college athletics. No shade to the guys that do. That's their journey. But I went to go play professionally and I learned a lot, went through a lot. So, like, why not me? End quote.
Because you went to the professional league. Duh. It's like, I had a year of eligibility. If that's the case, I didn't spend my
Head on back,
years.
Derek.
I can go back, can I?
Well, it's very two-faced on all fronts because basically college is pro now.
Yeah.
You're getting paid. So the athletes wouldn't want to go back to college if they don't say,
no.
oh, this guy's like, oh, I could be pretty good there and I could get paid. So rather than continue my pro career and try to make it, I'll go back to college, make money, and that's probably make quite a bit more money. Probably he'd be a sought after guy. I don't know how old he is. 30, 35, 40. Is he 40?
Listen,
I don't know how old he is now.
Amari Bailey?
Yeah, Amari Bailey.
Amari Bailey is 20. He'll turn 22 later this month.
Right. So he's a college age senior basically.
But again,
so I look, I'm sure he's got a lot of people telling him, but it comes back to the money, right? You have a chance to make money. People are going to do everything they can to take advantage of that.
Oh man, I don't know, man. Like, who am I to tell Joey Aguilar that he can't earn some extra scratch as the Tennessee Volunteers quarterback? But again, $25 million. Sorry, no, not $25 million. I don't even know what I'm talking about right now.
His age 25?
Yes, he's 25. Yes,
Yes,
sorry. I don't know where did that figure come from. My mind is just boggled by all of this. I can't speak straight. But
listen, I'm not faulting him for trying to get another year of eligibility. And listen,
but the whole thing about, I've learned my lessons and
Exactly.
I made some mistakes and I have a lot to prove. That's just a bunch of baloney.
Just say why
I
you
want to
want
make
to
some
stay.
money.
Exactly. You want to make. You don't believe that you will get drafted high enough and in a position where you can earn the right to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. So what do? You stay an extra year. You earn a lot more money than you were originally going to get, and you hope that you develop. But breaking news here: you going to a hyper offense ain't getting you ready for the NFL. It's not. It is not. If you want to get ready to go somewhere else, a hyper offense, as good as it is, and as many points as it scores at the college level, it doesn't develop you to be an NFL quarterback, and it doesn't develop you to be an NFL wide receiver.
Here's one thing I'm curious about. Why wouldn't you, if you're a college football player, declare for the draft? If you get drafted in the first round or the second round, you like where you get drafted, go. If you don't like where you get drafted, go back to college. I'm waiting for somebody to do that. What would be different about that than all these other people?
Quickly, one texter said, would UT be backing him if they had a legitimate option they felt comfortable with for next season at quarterback?
They would back him half-heartedly, I believe. They wouldn't just throw him out to the wolves, but it would be like, oh, okay, we got your back, but we developing it. But this is going to be our starter. If you do, great. If you don't, then we got our guy.
615-737-1025. Jonathan Hutton from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow will join us coming up next. I think he has some thoughts on this. I would venture to guess.
Sure.
615-737-1025. In the meantime, let's give away a pair of tickets, shall we? If you would like a pair of tickets to see Trevor Noah at the Ryman Auditorium next Tuesday, February 10th, Let's see how fast you can dial this phone number, 615-737-1025. Be caller number 1, and you will win a pair of tickets to see Trevor Noah at the Ryman Auditorium next Tuesday, February 10th. Call now, 615-737-1025. Jonathan Hutton coming up next. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025. The Game. That and I D-Mace, Vingen, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingen, and David Janes here with you. We are live at Bridgestone Arena. The Predators play their final home game before the NHL's Olympic break tonight against the Minnesota Wild. Puck drop at 7, pregame at 6, right here on 102.5 The Game. Predators GM Barry Trotz will join us at 5 p.m. for his weekly chat. So now we are joined by our friend Jonathan Hutton from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow on Outkick. Hi, Hutton. How are you?
Doing well. Kind of a busy week, guys, with the news of the Preds.
Yeah, definitely. I actually am curious for your thoughts on it, but I do have another question for you. As we were just discussing Joey Aguilar's suit against the NCAA as he is trying to secure an 8th year of eligibility. Have we jumped the shark yet, Hutton?
Oh, yes. But the problem is legally versus eligible, just being eligible. I mean, I don't know anymore what's allowed and what's not. And that's the problem. The NCAA doesn't either. I've asked a couple of people here in San Francisco that have joined us just what they think of a commissioner of college football. Nobody has any answers. Nobody has a name. That's where you have to start. And that's jumped the shark, too. Everyone goes with Saban. He doesn't want the gig. So who's going to lead? Sankey's been very quiet in this, even with his own conference with Kiffin, what happened there, what's happening with Ole Miss and the tampering. I mean, there has to be leadership first, and it doesn't have to come from the judge. And that's to me where it's really lacking and jumped the shark.
Now, is there any comparison? Because when we brought this up, we had our texters text in and say, well, Diego went through the same thing, and you guys were not, this harsh on Diego, but I think Diego's is a little bit different. This one it's like he's trying to get an 8th year, and I get it. I understand why, but do you see any comparisons to the two?
Well, the big comparison to me is he has the same attorney. He's one of 26 other players that are a part of this suit that Diego was a part of last year. I believe they filed in the same court, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I may be, but yeah, it's the same attorney who's representing them. That to me is the big comparison, just because of what happened in the Diego suit and the judge that they granted the injunction. That's the big key here, is that it wasn't really ruled one way or the other. There's just an injunction that allowed them to play, that allowed him to play. So that's all he needs. It doesn't need a definitive ruling. He just needs to hit the pause button, and he'll be back for another year. And look, this is where it's also going to really hurt teams. You got to make a plan. If you're one of the backups from last year and you think you've got a chance to start this year, but you don't, whenever the ruling comes down, what do you do? Well, they're going to enter the portal. Like that's another downside of all this, is the uncertainty for the player that is now mentally getting ready to go compete for a job that currently doesn't have it. And but I say currently does, but it may not a week from now, 2 weeks from now, whenever. It's chaos, and it's crazy. And again, everyone's got to compete against it or join it. It's one way or the other.
Now, if they choose, if indeed they side with Aguilar and his team, how do you think this affects college sports? What I mean is those that are entering college, because my thing was, well, it may help the JUCO, because now you can go and develop. And I'm really talking about the quarterbacks. Now you can go develop a guy, pay him, and then he still has his 4 years of eligibility. And you can sell that to an individual that may be a 3-star that can't get into the university he really wants to get into, but he spent 2 years at JUCO. Now he's developed. Now he gets to go wherever he wants.
Hey man, not even JUCO. Look at Conference USA. Look at the level of play there. That they're really the schools who are recruiting high school players now, Mace. We forget about the high school recruitment because the portal takes spots. You go develop at UAB with Trent Dilfer. I mean, he was really upset about it when he first got the job because his team was being raided. And then all of a sudden he came up with a quote that he was pitching the fact that he was he wanted to be a player's coach. He wanted to be a place where you went for 2 years and then you elevated to the SEC or the Big Ten. Like, that was an accomplishment for the player. That development, really, in the portal, I think it's hurting the overall development of the quarterbacks, offensive linemen, the overall play. because you're getting a Cliff Notes version of a game plan, of a system, of a philosophy, of a playbook. And the Cliff Notes version ends up being a cram. You're studying for the test, the exam. That's a cram session, like I would do in college, and you end up not really retaining the material that you're trying to learn because you're jumping to the next coach, the different language, and then all of a sudden you're in the NFL. I think that's difficult to do when you're going to 2, 3, 4 spots, and ultimately you're going to the highest bidder. It's not development, but it is monetarily sound.
Now, how much is the university behind Aguilar in this one? Because Adam did ask the question: if they had their guy at quarterback, a 5-star guy ready to start as a freshman,
if they hit on the portal,
exactly.
Yeah, I know where you're right.
Yeah, would they
wouldn't need him.
stand behind Aguilar the way they are?
I don't think so. Not if they hit in the portal the way they were, actively and aggressively going at it. Like it's left to where they've got a guy who knows the system now. How he plays in it. He's not going to be as mobile as some of the other quarterbacks that have had success in Heupel's system. But look at all the changes that Heupel's made this offseason. He's got a head coach of defense now in Jim Knowles. Especially given the fact that we're seeing success in 1 and 2 years being on the job elsewhere. And in the NFL level, Mace, look at the coaches here at the Super Bowl. First year, second year. There's no patience anymore. And so you have to satisfy those that are writing the checks, or you're going to get the buyout money. And I think there's pressure on the coach to make sure you have the quarterback. And if you still are uncertain, they were uncertain about these guys last year, they would be uncertain this year, given the elevated play that we saw from Aguilar, even though he got there so late in the calendar.
Jonathan Hutton is with us. So, Jonathan, just to clarify, you think Tennessee wants this to happen? At this point, they want Aguilar back?
Well, I know I know that they have someone in the portal. I'm saying they have a baseline of play right now from him. I thought overall Aguilar was okay. I didn't expect him to play the way he did. Let me put it that way last year, given the hurry up style. And I don't think it's a bad thing given the experience level, because I keep hearing about other quarterbacks that don't seem ready, and they didn't hit on their top targets in the portal anyway, Willie. They were passed over. So, if it happens, Aguilar comes back for another year. He's going to come in and compete. And he instantly got the job last year. I think that's a good thing for Heupel, not a bad thing.
Okay, best person you've talked to, most interesting person you've talked to since you've been out in San Fran?
Well, since we're on this topic, the name that comes to mind for me is Jeff Garcia, because he didn't enter the NFL until the age of 29. And I asked him, I said, can you imagine if this was an open portal, you wouldn't have to gone to the CFL and prove yourself. You just continued to have eligibility. And he had a great response to that, where there's no grit. The portal leaves you without the grit and the work, because you just jump ship and you go to somewhere where you're going to be gratified. That was interesting to hear from him, just from the path that he took to the league. We've had several solid guests, Willie, but the ones that'll actually sit down and talk with you instead of push a product, those are the best ones. You know that firsthand. For sure. Okay, hey, by the way, I went to the Preds game Monday, and unfortunately I did leave early. Does that make me?
So you're here to sort of just repent.
I left early. Yeah,
I'm glad you're not one of those people that say I was in the building when they made the comeback. No, you left.
I sat in the 125 section too, and I bounced.
Nice. What was the score? Was it 5-1 when you bounced?
No, it was getting there though. It was a very slow first period. In the second period, the way it escalated, it was time for me to walk home.
So you left before it was even 5-1?
Yeah, I left before it was 5-1. I thought I didn't see anything from the Willie. I didn't see anything from the Preds that made me think they were going to do anything.
No, they looked about as bad as you could look at the beginning.
It was a great crowd and a very quiet crowd.
Yeah.
It was also, I don't know if you could notice that, but it was just interesting. I didn't feel the vibe that night, and all of a sudden I missed it. I'm the reason why they came back. Okay.
Take credit. It was still 5-1 halfway through the game. That's the crazy part. It got to 5-1 early in the second. There was still 7, 8, 9 minutes before the Predators started to get going.
Well, I fell asleep at 3-5, so there you go.
Yeah, teammates didn't make it to the finish line either. Oh boy.
Oh, he was also quiet.
Yeah. So what do you think of the matchup here? What have you learned as you try to put together what we think is going to happen on Sunday?
So really for New England, they're discussing, Jackson Smith and Jigba a lot. I think that's very surface level. I think New England's got to stop the run. And they certainly have the ability to do that because I don't think New England can go toe-to-toe on score for score here. They're both very explosive offenses, though, which is surprising given how New England's offense is built. But they're in the top 5 for offenses of explosive plays this year, especially in the run game. Seattle certainly is as well. And then their defenses give up the fewest in the league. So who's going to be the explosive player for New England on offense? And if Seattle's front gets to Drake May early, the game's over because offensive line issues for New England will play a problem. And both quarterbacks are banged up. Both quarterbacks are playing here. I am one that wants to see Vrabel accomplish the goal because there are a lot of other coaches and staff members there that I was fortunate enough to meet and I really like. That I'm pulling for them to be able to do this. I just look. I think it's a tight game. I don't think Vrabel and the Patriots are getting blown out, but they will if they can't protect Drake May because this is a defense that will get after them.
Is the Vrabel? I know here in Nashville, everybody. It's almost sarcastic. Oh, those Titans, they're going to pay the price for letting Vrabel go. It's revisionist history a little bit.
Oh,
is it a big story out there, or is that just a Nashville thing?
They think it's a big story because New England ends up with everything that they want in the end. The big story is really Belichick and whether or not Brady's going to pay a price the way Kraft and Belichick have for the Hall of Fame. That's what they've been discussing. But the fact that the Patriots are back here after their long, what was it, 6-year drought? How long has it been since they've? I mean, hasn't been that long. They've had to wait for a chance of the title, and the Titans are viewed as idiots for letting the guy go for the coach they just hired. That was the closest thing to Vrabel they could have gone after. And then the replacement didn't work out at all for the type and style of coach that really both of these guys represent. Defensive-minded, overall teams that are very sound. They don't commit penalties. They don't get they're not distracted on the sideline. They know the rule book. They're going to make the right call in the moment on how they manage a game. The Titans got rid of that coach, and that's how they're viewed.
Hutton, let me ask you a question.
By the way, I did say Derrick Henry walking around too.
Oh.
So there's another Titan tie-in.
What's he hawking out there?
I don't know. I don't know.
Something to make you big.
Yes, right. Yeah, probably workout equipment. How to run a hill.
Let me ask you a question before we let you go that I asked Willie and Derek yesterday. Which Super Bowl storyline will you get sick of hearing about first?
Overall?
Yes.
This week?
Yes.
Oh, it's already Jackson Smith and Jigba. How do they stop him? Are they going to have him one-on-one? That's all the analysts are saying that all the time. That's because it's just low-hanging fruit. It's the easiest thing to go with. Is Christian Gonzalez going to go one-on-one with him? The answer is no. He's not going to attack. He will at times, but Vrabel didn't do that here at all. He would do it at times where you shadow the guy, but they move around JSN so much that they're going to have to do other things. That's why they have to stop the run without having to stack the box. Mace, you can speak on this even more, but like the style of receiver that Smith and Jigba is, that Vrabel wasn't doing that with the quarterbacks, even when he had Butler, Logan Ryan, and Christian Fulton as a rookie. They never shadowed one receiver. It would depend on how motions went and other things within the defense.
Yeah, it's just hard to do it now. And some teams still manage to do it from time to time. But because, you're elite receiver, a lot of times those guys are interchangeable. You put them inside, outside, and it's hard. That's why, systems matter now. And, with certain guys, because they have the skill, but what you do as far as designing how to get this open, it makes it hard for, defenses to cover it.
It is amazing how underplayed the Sam Darnold storyline is here.
Interesting.
No one's really talking about him.
Incredibly overplayed.
I don't hear his name very often.
I'm actually encouraged by that.
Yeah. Well, media night though, they were trying to get him to do a bird call because apparently he's on this bird watching app. where they determine what sound the bird makes so he can find out what bird he's looking at. He does this in his backyard, and that they had tried to like goad him into doing this for like a viral video. He never did it, but that was also annoying. They wanted to talk more about bird calls.
Okay.
Go
Jonathan
for it,
Hutton
yeah.
from Hot
Go
Mike
for
with
it, Adam.
Hutton
You
and
can- you
Withrow.
can, nothing as annoying as Happy New Year.
Yes, that is true.
Did I see this right, guys? I think Adam Sparks has just put out the story that Aguilar has been granted a temporary restraining order, and there is an injunction hearing set for February 6th. I don't know what that means. Is that? I guess that's the next step in the process.
Yeah, they put it on pause, so like he's able to go about his. That the way I hear that, Willie, is it's business as usual because there's been no ruling until the hearing.
Okay, so a hearing is. I mean,
The
that's
TRO
that's
is
Friday.
what Pavia received.
So what
Okay.
happened? I guess what happens in the hearing on Friday will be pretty important.
Can they continue to push this out, Hut?
Yes, but like they didn't do it with Pavia last year.
Okay.
There was a pretty quick ruling around the time. It was around the spring time. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was around spring portal because Vandy needed to know whether or not they needed to go get a quarterback, and they got the ruling right before then.
Jonathan Hutton from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow has been our guest on D-Mace, Vingan and Donick. He joins us every Wednesday. Hutton, enjoy the big game. I don't know if we can call it the Super Bowl. The big game.
I do anyway.
Enjoy the big game, and we'll talk to you next week.
They don't like our step and repeat banners. We raise them higher. You know what I mean? Yeah. Thank you, guys. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you,
Have
Hutton.
a good one.
615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Coming up next, a listener reached out to me on social media last night with a question about the Predators that he wants me to answer, and I will do that next. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025. The Game.
All right, let's tell you about Loan Pronto. Low mortgage rates are back, and Loan Pronto has fixed rate mortgages with an APR as low as 4.89%. That's the lowest in years. So take advantage of this, or keep your first mortgage in place and get cash out of your home's equity with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Both of these things are great tools. You can combine them as well. One homeowner pulled $250,000 out, paid off credit cards and car loans, and cut monthly expenses by $2,000. So call and see what option works best for you. But don't miss the rate drop of 2026. Take advantage. Ask about new home loans, VA loans, full cash out refis, or the Rapid Equity Loan. You can close in as little as 2 weeks, maybe even skip the next 2 house payments. Call 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com for a free instant home appraisal. No hard credit pull necessary. That's 615-499-5780 or visit loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, APR for well-qualified buyers, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. I'd like to thank our friend Jacob for bringing by this sign that says, Adam is fun. If
There
you're
you go.
looking at the stream, Adam is fun. I am fun.
Lie.
I am fun.
Who didn't think you were fun?
So who doesn't? Who?
Yeah, who doesn't?
Willie
you're
didn't
fun?
think
Yeah.
I was
Right.
fun yesterday.
You're not having enough fun.
He said you're not having enough fun.
But
He
I mean,
didn't say
you're
you're
not
completely
admitting
fun.
Okay.
that
Yes.
what has been happening at Bridgestone Arena is indeed fun.
So
And it's okay to enjoy the fun, even if the status of the team is still, the direction of the team is still up for debate. In the meantime, you're allowed to have fun.
Yes.
So generally, I am fun, right? But you just don't think I'm fun about this.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I'll
That's
grant
fine.
you that. Yeah.
I'll accept that. JC and
But you are
Goodlettsville.
taking the F out of fun when it comes to hockey sometimes.
JC and Goodlettsville, who told me to shut up 2 days ago on the text line, says Adam would have left the Preds Blues games early too and traded the entire Preds first line for mid-round draft picks. So I received a tweet. I guess you can still call it a tweet. I'm going to still call it a tweet. I received a tweet from a listener last night, and I hope I am pronouncing his last name correctly. Kyle Schoenwell. Kyle Schoenwell, thank you, Kyle, for listening and reaching out, messaged me last night and said this, quote, question for Adam for tomorrow's show, which is right now.
Mhm.
Is there anything the Predators could do before the deadline to make him change his mind? If they went 8-0-0, would that change anything for him?
Now we're getting to it.
Okay.
The Predators have 7 games left until the trade deadline, starting tonight at home, right here, against the Minnesota Wild. Puck drop at 7, pregame at 6. As always, right here on 102.5 The Game. 7 games left until the NHL trade deadline on March 6th. By the way, the NHL's Olympic roster freeze is now in effect, so no trades can occur for the next 2.5 weeks. And there was a big one today in the NHL.
A very big one.
Artemi Panarin traded from New York to LA, and there is a texter who has a question about that, which I will address as well. But Kyle's question, is there anything the Predators can do before the trade deadline to change my mind? No, not really.
8-0.
Well, it would be 7-0, but you know what I mean. I still think. Well, let me start this way. Regardless of the record, under no circumstances should the Predators be buyers at the trade deadline.
That's a given. No, we know that's going to be the case.
So no buying. No buying. Here is the bare minimum I would accept from the Predators at the trade deadline, regardless of their record over the next 7 games. The bare minimum I would accept. 2 things. Number 1, Michael Bunting must be traded no matter what. Our friend Elliot Freeman said on the latest edition of the 32 Thoughts podcast that Michael Bunting was almost traded to the New York Islanders recently. They ended up trading for Andre Palat from the New Jersey Devils. Elliott said that the Predators and Islanders couldn't agree on the year of the draft pick. The Predators wanted a 2026 draft pick. The Islanders wanted to give them a 2027 draft pick. He didn't say like what round, but the year of the draft pick ended up being the reason why that trade did not come to be. So Michael Bunting apparently almost traded, I would assume, within the past couple of weeks. So that's number 1 of the bare minimum. Michael Bunting traded regardless. If I were GM, I would tell Michael Bunting, have a bag packed because you won't be here in a month. That's number 1.
Why single him out?
Because
among all of the guys that they have possibly.
because he's a winger. I will get to the other part.
Okay.
Because he's a winger. And we have seen trades in the NHL that would suggest that he would be worth something. Kiefer Sherwood was worth 2 second-round picks, if I recall correctly.
Yep.
So I do think Michael Bunting has some value. And he's been
got
traded.
a lot of value.
Yeah. He's been traded at the NHL trade deadline before. If I am not mistaken, each of the past 2 years, he was traded here at the trade deadline. He was a part of the Jake Gensel trade from Tampa Bay From Pittsburgh. I'm sorry, from Pittsburgh to Carolina.
Correct.
A couple of years ago. So Michael Bunting, now Jake Gensel's in Tampa Bay. So Michael Bunting has been traded at the NHL trade deadline before. So that's number one bare minimum.
Signing Bunting to a new contract would not be on your radar.
No. He gone. Michael Bunting, that's number one bare minimum. Number two, one of Eric Haula or Michael McCarron must be traded. Because, hey, you need somebody to play center, right? So whichever of those two centers you can get more value out of, if I had to guess, I would say McCarron more than Haula. I would trade the center who can get me the most between those two. So that's the bare minimum I will accept from the Predators at the trade deadline. Michael Bunting must be traded. One of Haula or McCarron must be traded.
I think that's reasonable. I would ask the question, if you were to trade those two guys, would you be able to make the playoffs? And
that's not my intention.
Then why not trade everybody then?
I mean, I'm not against that either.
Right.
I'm telling you what I think the bare minimum would be that I would accept. If the Predators go,
that's a pretty significant sell, and I agree. There's not much in between because this isn't a team that has a lot of depth. I don't know that I see a guy jumping into, particularly at center, but Bunting being a winger, you can ask yourself, is there a guy that could give us lightning in a bottle for a couple of months?
Zach Leroux,
Joachim Kemmel, somebody like that.
Yeah.
Who might be ready for something like that. I don't know. Bunting, I think he is part of the core. And I don't know what I expected. That trade has actually been very good for the Predators. I think when you look at what Tommy Novak has done, which is basically nothing, Luke Schenn, his value has dropped since the Predators traded him. Bunting has been a very valuable player that, as you said, you could get a good asset back, or I even think consideration of keeping him for another year or two is on the table. I think he's done a great job for the Predators.
So to answer Kyle's question, and again, thank you for the question, Kyle. No, nothing would really change my mind regardless of the record the Predators put together before the trade deadline. They have 7 games left before the trade deadline. My bare minimum, once again, Michael Bunting, he gone. Doesn't matter what the record is. He's gone. And one of Haula or McCarron needs to be traded as well. That is the bare minimum I would accept. We did receive a text earlier in the program. I want to make sure that I find it because, as I said, there was a big trade today in the NHL. The number one player on the board, Artemi Panarin of the New York Rangers, he was traded from the Rangers to the LA Kings for a forward prospect named Liam Greentree and a 3rd round pick. And the texter said, did you see the Panarin move today? Or you see the Panarin move today and you think to yourself, we need new leadership if we want to be a serious hockey team. We need outside blood on this job search. Why couldn't we give up a Milwaukee prospect and a 3rd round pick for an all-league type player? It's more complicated than that. Artemi Panarin had a no movement clause in his contract. He completely controlled the process. And there are reports that Panarin only wanted to go to LA, and that's his right. And when that happens, the Rangers are like, well, what can we do about it? The Kings have all the leverage. By the way, the Kings then re-signed Artemi Panarin to a 2-year contract. But
that's a steal.
2 years, $11 million per season, I believe, is the contract for Artemi Panarin. So I understand the texter's point.
Do we know anything about the prospect? Is he supposed to be good?
He was a 1st round pick within the past couple of years. I don't know anything about him.
That's an important piece. That is he a guy that could help the Rangers? Is he a guy that has a ceiling that's decent? Otherwise, this is a complete robbery because of what you said. Is Panarin and the Kings had all the leverage. And the Kings don't have to sign him for 4 or 5 years. That's a huge thing for the Kings because he's at the age where 2 years is the right amount. That also affects the Predators because the Kings are a team that is vying for one of the spots that the Predators are trying to chase. So that could affect how the Predators think.
So I understand the texter's point. Why couldn't the Predators have traded a third round pick and a prospect for Artemi Panarin? Well, one, the Predators are not in position right now to acquire a player.
But any team would have done that for Panarin.
Right, but
he controlled that.
Correct. So I am not going to criticize the Predators for not taking a
Yeah.
run at Artemi Panarin. He had control over the situation. He reportedly only wanted to go to LA. So the Rangers were a bit handcuffed. They had to make it work because reportedly they told him, we're not re-signing you. So we need to get something for you. And the Kings had the Rangers perhaps over a barrel. So I'm not going to criticize the Predators for that. But I will say one thing, Predators related to this. This is why the Predators should think long and hard about trading Ryan O'Reilly, because he does not have trade protection in his contract. I know Barry Trotz treats him like he has trade protection in his contract, but in reality, Ryan O'Reilly has zero say in where he's traded because he has no sort of protection in his contract, no modified trade clause or no movement clause. He doesn't have any of that. Teams would be tripping over themselves to acquire Ryan O'Reilly. Would you agree?
I think he would have very high value. No
Yes,
question.
he's
having an incredible year.
He's been tremendous.
He's playing great hockey.
He's been tremendous this season, and he has an excellent reputation around the NHL. So that's why, with the Panarin news today, that Barry Trotz, who will join us in roughly 20 minutes, should think long and hard about it. But again, to answer our friend Kyle's question, there isn't much that can happen at the before the trade deadline, that will change my mind about the direction this team should go. Let's see here. I had a text I wanted to read. Craig on our text line says, what does it say to the players, fans, and season ticket holders that after the team has fought their ass off to get back in the race, that your calculator and analytics say, sorry, guys, y'all don't matter. If they were totally out of it, I get it, but they aren't. Craig, I am going to save your text message for later in the program because I do want to touch on this. I do have some thoughts on this because I've heard what Craig has said, and we will get to that. One texter says, how are you helping yourself by trading Bunting? You are not going to get anything back that's equal to him. I don't get your thinking, Adam. Again, I am looking at the bigger picture here. The Predators, I give them a tremendous amount of credit for what they have pulled off over the past couple of months. They were dead in the water the week of Thanksgiving. That 8-3 home loss to Florida, they looked done. And the fact that they're here now, I give them credit. But again, does this team, to all of you, look like a team that can win a championship? I know that Willie and others, and I'm not criticizing Willie for having this line of thinking because a lot of you have it as well. I know that a lot of you don't necessarily see a Stanley Cup championship as the only end goal here. But I want the Predators to eventually become a team like they were not too long ago, that when a season starts, you think of them as a legitimate Stanley Cup contender. So to me, trading Michael Bunting, he's been good for them. He has value. And when this team, at least in my opinion, and then we'll go to break because we have more to say on this. Michael Bunting, when this team hopefully is winning more consistently, I'm not sure Michael Bunting is going to be a huge part of that. That's just my opinion. 615-737-1025. We will take your thoughts on the Predators and the NHL trade deadline, which is a month away, but the NHL's Olympic roster freeze is underway. No more trades can happen for the next couple of weeks. Barry Trotz will join us at the top of the hour. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
If you set out to lose weight, chances are it's not your first time setting some type of goal to shed some extra pounds, only to face disappointment. But I got some good news because at Cool Springs MD, Dr. Lodge and his team understands the frustration of this cycle, and that is why they offer a different approach to weight loss. Their comprehensive weight loss program is led by Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and addresses the root cause of weight gain with tailored nutrition, exercise, blood test supplements, and more. They will customize a program specific to you and you only. So connect with Dr. Lodge at CoolSpringsMD.com today to schedule your appointment for a personalized weight loss plan just for you. That's Cool Springs MD, where your weight loss journey becomes a success story.
Let me just say this, Adam. There is enormous interest in this job. Okay? I think that is actually what I should say first, is that I think that CAA or doing this search, they are going to be deluged with people interested in this. So, and I thought that would be the case as I was working on the story. And I think, and nothing that I have heard in the last 7 hours since this got out has made me change my opinion. I think the Predators are going to have a ton of interest in this job.
That was our friend Elliot Friedman, Sportsnet NHL insider, on Monday after he broke the news that Barry Trotz is retiring. Barry Trotz will join us at the top of the hour. A lot of reaction to what I had to say before the break. We had a listener, Kyle, reach out to me last night and ask me this question. Is there anything the Predators can do before the trade deadline? There are 7 games left before the trade deadline, including tonight against Minnesota. Puck drop at 7, pregame at 6 here on 102.5 The Game. Is there anything the Predators can do before the trade deadline to change my mind on how I feel the team should go? No, not really. I said,
you would admit 2 years ago, they almost didn't give him a choice because they essentially did. Like, I think the hypothetical was, what if they went 7-0, right?
Right.
So that's kind of what happened.
When you go 16-0-2, I think
Right.
that's a little different. I think it's a little different.
A little different, but that would be if they were to go 7-0, which I don't know. They could lose tonight and tomorrow night, and this is a completely different discussion. That's how much on the edge they are. And with this deal for Panarin, it does have you say, "Ooh, can you beat LA?" Which is a team you absolutely are fighting with for one of the spots. Now, LA could get in by being in the top 3 in the Pacific, so that would bump down another team. But it is part of the formula. But if they were to go 7-0, that would be 27-11-2 since basically Thanksgiving, since the day before Thanksgiving. I mean, that 27-11-2, that's pretty darn good.
But what would that put them
maximum.
points in the point
Well,
standings?
I think if they win the next 7, they would likely be over
Will
the
they
line.
be in that?
I think they would be
last
above the
or
line
first?
if they went 7-0. Likely. It's not guaranteed.
By the way,
So you're just blowing that off. So 27-11-2 over 3 months.
He had to repeat that
That's
again.
that's a half a season of being pretty darn good.
they had to do that, and they still aren't within what? They're still 3 points out of a playoff spot?
Not if they go 7-0. This is the hypothetical that we're talking about here. I don't think they're going to go 7-0. But if they go 5-2, that's going to again put it right on the
4-3.
4-2-1. You know, if they play the way they've been playing, they've been winning weeks, right? They haven't been stringing together 7-8 straight wins, but they've been winning 2 of 3. They're mixing an overtime loss. But this is the question: is have they put the 6-12-4 group of people in the rear view enough to where you're saying they could keep this up? That would be the question. And I think the underlying numbers say no, that they are right where they should be, really. But the stuff happens, right? This is why when you play sports, guys get hurt for other teams. All of a sudden, maybe your goalie starts playing great. You know, these are all things that could happen that make you into a different team than it appears. But this is why it's tough to be a GM.
Let's go to Bob in Antioch on our phone line, driven by Wilson County, Hyundai.com. Bob, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Thank you. Elliot Friedman says he thinks there'll be tremendous interest in the Predators GM position. How appealing do you think the position is? I'd like to know your opinion.
Thanks for the call, Bob. It's a good question. There are advantages of being the GM of the Nashville Predators, and I'm going to put aside you get to live in Nashville. We all like to live in Nashville, right? Number one, a benefit of living in Nashville: no state income tax. That is an advantage as a GM in the NHL. No state income tax. That's number one.
You're saying with the ability to acquire players, sign players.
Yes.
Because at the same time, you could also say you get to keep more of your money.
You get more bang
as
for
the
your
GM.
Hopefully
Right.
you get more bang
Yeah.
for your buck as the GM of the Predators because of the fact.
I think that's a major strike in the why it's popular.
Yes, that would be number one. Number two, and for everything I've said about the Predators, one thing that Barry Trotz has not done, which we all like, is he has not mortgaged the future a single time as GM, specifically trading draft picks or prospects, with the exception of Yaroslav Askarov, but he signed UC Saros. I put that in a different category. You've got a ton of draft capital. That's my point. When they signed Steven Stamkos and others, it was just cap space that they were using. They did not trade draft picks or high-end prospects to acquire those players. So you have a full war chest of draft picks. I think that is also appealing, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah. That's a huge thing, is that you come in and the cupboard is not bare, not even close. You've developed a pool of prospects that are not that far off, relatively speaking, from helping you. Because acquiring a lot of draft picks are high school kids right now. those kids, and sometimes if it's a 2027 pick, that kid is doesn't have his driver's license yet, right? Or just got his driver's license. You see what I'm saying? He's a long way from helping you in the NHL if he makes it. So they've got draft picks, but they also have a very maximized pool of young players that are different levels of prospects. They lack the freak, the super freak, but they have a lot of people that I think are going to be solid NHL players, which is an asset.
Right. You have a lot of draft capital, which, as Willie said, you can use to draft players, or you can use those draft picks to trade for NHL players, move up and down the draft, all of those things. So that's the second thing that's appealing about this job. The third thing is ownership clearly is willing to spend. I mean, look what happened in free agency on July 1st, 2024. A lot of money spent for three of the top players on the market in that free agency class. So I would say those are all appealing things about this job.
And in addition to willing to spend, the cap space in this coming year will go way up for the Predators because they will be out from under the Matt Duchene buyout. So they will have a lot of cap room, a very healthy cap situation that the new GM will inherit. Would you agree with that, Adam?
Yes, I would.
Okay. So all this stuff that people like to say, oh, look at all these contracts. I can't believe they have all of these. Well, there really aren't that many contracts when you get down to it.
Well, it depends. I mean,
look at the contracts with the cap going up the way it is. I don't think that there's an albatross contract on this roster. That's my opinion. People might accept, but if you think that there's no more than 2 or 3, which is healthy, I think.
Okay, but if you, even though you may be willing to spend, do you think, at least last year, have they got their money's worth for spending the money that they spent?
That certainly is. That certainly
well,
is.
Then you go out and spend all this money, and then you're attached to these contracts once again. So yes, you have the ability to spend the money, but maybe it's not about spending the top dollars, about getting the right players.
I think every contract on every team, there are players that are exceeding the value of their contract. Ryan O'Reilly might be the best example of a guy that's giving the most production per dollar of what you're paying for. He might be the best in the league right now. I think Roman Josi in his previous contract probably hit that. He was probably the best player in the league for his contract, his value. And then there are guys that are on the other end that you're paying $8 million, $10 million or whatever, and they're only giving you $4 or $5 million. I think there are examples of that on every roster. I would say, and I don't think the Predators have really an extreme level on either side. There's O'Reilly would be a great example. You could probably say that Marchessault is underperforming, but Marchessault is only what, 5 point something million?
5.5.
5.5. That's not anywhere near what some forwards make. The going rate for a top 6 forward now on the free agent market is easily 8-9 million for sure.
You're looking at some of the long-term contracts they've signed. Philip Forsberg has 4 years left after this one. Jonathan Marchessault has 3 years after this one. I wouldn't really call Steven Stamkos a long-term contract, but he's got 2 years after this one. Roman Josi has 2 years after this one. Brady Shea has 4 years after this one. So those are some of the long-term. Yes,
Shea is younger, so Shea certainly hasn't played great to the $7 million, but $7 million now and going forward isn't what it was when they signed him for 2 years ago, because everybody's got more money to spend. Even UC Saros, right? We've discussed this. If you are in the camp of you're not satisfied with UC Saros, he's not the highest paid goalie in the league. He's anything close, not anywhere close.
I think he's 9th or 10th.
9th or 10th
in cap hit this season.
Right. So it's not like he's killing your whole salary cap. So the point is, for the new GM, he's going to inherit a very healthy set of circumstances coming in.
615-737-1025. Before we talk about the new GM, let's talk about the current GM. Predators GM Barry Trotz is here. We'll catch up with Barry. Absolutely nothing has gone on with Barry Trotz this week, so I don't know what we're going to talk about. But Barry Trotz will join us coming up next. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan. We are live at Bridgestone Arena. David James is back at our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. Predators back in action tonight. Their final home game before the NHL's Olympic break against the Minnesota Wild. Puck drop at 7, pregame at 6, right here on 102.5 The Game. And joining us, as he does every week, Predators GM Barry Trotz. What's new, Barry?
Nothing at all. It's been a quiet week.
Yes.
Obviously, nothing going on. I was just sitting by the phone. I felt like the Maytag repairman.
Well, the news of your retirement on Monday has been the biggest story in the NHL all week. So what has been the reaction that you've received from your colleagues and people around the hockey world since that announcement became
Well,
official?
I think it started out just like, I said at the press conference, are you healthy? Is everything okay? And yes, I am. I'm healthy and all that. And B, are you going back coaching? And I said, no, I'm not going back coaching. And just, what was I think more than anything that caught everybody off guard is the timing of it. And that process, and I'll tell our fans, and as I said before, is you talk about everything, and I informed Bill. We talked in December, all those things that was said in the press conference, but there's never any great timing. But the one thing that I said in the press conference, you guys are really good, and if you go out there and you go in the search for my replacement without announcing it or trying to do it behind the scenes, what happens is we have a lot of loose lips these days. You guys, social media, everything, it just does. I mean, even in our organizations, there's a lot of things that you want to be in the know. That's sort of what back in the day, and I'm a little bit old school, you go back 40, 50 years. I mean, it was a little bit like the mafia. That you told a friend and you said, hey, keep it to yourself. They would keep it to themselves. That doesn't happen anymore. It just doesn't. It seems to be acceptable to say things, rumors, what have you. I heard one today that like on the bunting trade. Well, that was not true. There's no validity to that at all. So it's out there and it's acceptable, and it's sometimes frustrating in different positions where we are that. So, going back to my original statement, I got off track there, is that you guys do such a good job, and if that was the case and we tried to do a search, someone would find out. So myself, Bill, and the management team said, let's just be honest. I'm going to the 26, 27 year. That's my end point. I put an end point to what I'm doing. And by that, let's be upfront and don't have to answer all the questions and all the rumors. And, they're firing Barry. And it's not the case. Barry decided that he needs to make a life decision, spend time. I do not want to be the person that said, I wish I would have spent more time with my family. I don't want to be that guy. I see a lot of that, especially in this business. I see that all the time. And, if you ask anybody one regret that they have in life that have been successful or been in the job a long time, I call it grinding. I'm away from home in this job, or all the jobs I've had in hockey. I mean, there's times when, I was scouting, I was gone for 30 days at a time. I was married. That's, and unfortunately, fortunately we didn't have children at the time, but, as you have children, those time periods change. So I've done a lot of traveling and done that. It's time for me to want to grow old with my wife and my grandkids and my own kids. So other than that's the only reason that we did that. And we did it on a very untraditional timeline, which that's what probably caught everybody off guard.
You will be part of the committee that searches for the new GM. Which qualities will you personally prioritize as you assess potential GM candidates?
Well, from my standpoint, I'm going to talk about, all the hockey stuff. What the things that I found that were difficult. How much you know about a roster? I'm going to ask the question. I want you to rank our prospects, like independently, not what our scouts say or I say or anything. Independently, I want you to do a deep dive into our organization. How are you going to improve it? What areas are you going to improve it? What are the new technologies? What do you see from other organizations? What are your best qualities? I mean, one of the things in this job is you get a lot of people in your area, you hear a lot of stuff, you read a lot of stuff. You know, how do you process that? You know, who's your, one of the things that is really important is the new person's got to have a little bit of their guy. He's got to have their guy, someone that he can sort of go to, you know, if it's, you know, yourself, it's his wife, your best friend, you need someone that he can go to and say, okay, I got a lot of things happening. There's a lot of noise. I got different people have, you know, we can say what we want. Every department takes care of their own department, and they don't mean to. Everybody's a team player, but their interests are solely in majority of their areas. How does it affect their area? And so how do you separate that? How do you process that? And what do you do with that? And so I think, you know, I'll ask some of those questions. I'm sure Bill, who's been in government, will have a number of questions. From a business side, you know, you got to be a team player because it's the hockey business. It's not just hockey. And so there's different elements that things that you don't want to see. There's certain standards that have to be held in the hockey department. There's certain standards that have to be held in terms of the business and all that. So someone who can play on both sides and understand the whole game. And the greatest thing that happened to me is David Poyle hired me here. Yeah, that first year there was no team, and I said in the press conference they asked, you know, as part of ordering carpet, you know, what color. But you got to understand the different departments. So I think my overall mentality of the whole time that I've been a coach has been maybe wider than someone who is just a player, goes into coaching and just gets all wound up in that and doesn't see the bigger picture. And there's times when you don't see the bigger picture, but I think for the most part, I was always listened to everybody about the bigger picture.
When you returned to the organization about 3 years ago, it was around the NHL trade deadline, and David Poyle made some moves that set you up nicely to put you in a position to succeed in your role. So how do you pay that forward, so to speak? How will you approach this deadline so that your successor is put in the best position?
The same way. I think, you know, the successor is going to have to know the plan that is sort of already in place. He's going to have to understand the sort of hopefully timelines. As I said, I want to leave in a better place. And then we talked about everything from facilities to what's on the ice. You know, it started with what David did is he knew the cupboards were bare, and he made a couple of moves and started putting draft capital back into the restocking of the cupboards. So it started with David, and David's always been the best about taking care of the Nashville Predators. And I learned so much from watching him do that for so many years, because I got to see it up close when we didn't have the ownership that we do now, and we were barely, you know, probably paying the bills. And David was very, very always team first, and had to make some really hard decisions. So, you know, I remember when I come back from the World Championships, and we were a team that was sort of going up, and then I come back from the World Championships, and we were really up against it, you know, financially. I didn't know if we were going to be here, and then we ended up being, you know, he came back. We got to move some players. And they were the best players. You know, it was like
Scott Hartnell, Paul Correa, Thomas Okun.
Yes,
some really good players.
Some really good players, and you know, you're thinking you're building, but you know, the reality is that if we were going to even be in Nashville, we were going to have to move some players who were starting to make some money, and that was the reality. And then you know, you'd say, and we got to make the playoffs. We just took 3 of our best players, and we got to redo it again. So those were some of the hard decisions in the early times. I don't think we're in that position, but we are going to build a new core. You know, we've got some wonderful people, but I still look at the other night. our starting lineup, I think it was on the island. We had we had O'Reilly and Stamkos and Forsberg and Yossi and I think it's Brady Shea and Saros, and they're all 30 plus. They're a little older for a group. They're terrific players still, and they still got lots of good game in them. But if we're waiting for Roman Yossi to be 40 years old and still playing at that level, it's not going to happen. So we need to build a new core. That is paramount. And anytime you draft a player, I always say it's draft plus 4 or 5 years before you know what you have. So go back, who were some of the players we drafted. Matthew Wood was from that first crop that David Poyle did the Ekholm. Ekholm's still the best player on the board.
Right.
He's still the best player on the ice from that trade. But Matthias he'll be playing only a couple more years, I would think. He's still a terrific player. But when Matthew Wood is hitting his prime, maybe Matthias is not even playing anymore. So we're in that cycle, and there's no doubt that we've been going with draft capital. I've got lots of picks. We got some prospects. And trust me, the draft is just to say that we've got lots of picks. We've got to make good picks. The odds of a player being a top player, they go down substantially after you get past that first round. But if you keep swinging, you're going to hit on some. I mean, Pekka Rennie wasn't a first round draft choice, and we got a statue out front. Hornquist was the last pick in the draft. You look at his career; it's pretty good. So you will hit on some of those, but the odds are slimmer. But we want to hit on our first picks as much as we can. And we're going to have some good years and we're going to have some bad years. Last year, I thought we were going to be way better than we were, trying to buy some time for those kids to develop, the Matthew Woods, the Mollendykes, all those. That's really important for us. And we didn't have near the year, so I pivoted. And said, doing the same plan, but I just started it a little bit earlier, and we got a little bit younger, and it allowed us to do some of the things that we do. And I made a deal to get like a guy like Nick Hague, who was a profile we didn't have, more in the age group. So we eventually our group that we develop, that whole core will come up, and hopefully we keep some of these pieces that are still leading the way. And we've got some great leaders. I mean, if you're a young player, or if you're a player in your mid-20s right now that just starting to get rolling, you look around, you got O'Reilly and a Stamkos and a Forsberg and a Yossi and a Saros. Those guys are pros, man. And nothing better than watching some of the best do their stuff. And Stammer's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Yossi's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
I was going to ask you about those guys in particular. Your job, maybe right now, might be made a little easier in the short term if those guys didn't care, right? If Stamkos, O'Reilly, Yossi, like you mentioned, those guys aren't spring chickens, but you can tell how much it means to them to get this particular team back up. So that's got to, you as a competitor, you had to be shaking their head watching as they fight back from 5-1 down the night. That was pretty special.
Yeah, there's nights, if we were talking, Willie, I'll say like, geez, there's some nights that feel like we're a house of cards. I mean, right. You pull one card and the whole thing just will crumble. And but these guys are resilient. Even in the press conference, I was having a silly moment when they, what don't you like? And I said something about the starts. And then we give everybody 2 goals, 2 or 3 goals, and then we come back and lo and behold, what happened the other night? We not only give them 2 or 3, we give them like 4. And we're able to fight, but really, it's this group is very resilient. The other night, I thought the first period was 2-1. It could have been 3-1. I felt coming out in the second period, I didn't recognize our team at all, and they scored, and it was 5-1. And we make the change, and Noonan comes in, and we just basically left them to the wolves, and it could have went to 9-1 pretty quick. And it didn't. And in that particular game, Big Juice, the pucks hit him, and he made some good saves. And We got to that TV timeout, and then I think both teams flipped sweaters, and all of a sudden we come back, and it was funny when we got our third goal. We were up in the booth, and I said, "We're getting a point tonight," and we probably shouldn't even be in this. It should be empty because it could have been a 9-1. But this team is resilient, and they hang in there, and they get all the credit. And it starts from your older guys. It starts from the O'Reillys. Who's carrying us? Who's scoring all the goals? It's Stamkos. It's O'Reilly. It's Yossi and Forsberg, and the odd night Matthew Wood will have a good, he'll get his 2 goals, and but it's usually your veteran guys. If you're going to go anywhere, it's the veteran guys, and then the young guys, as they become the veteran guys, they take over, and they're just not there yet. They're not ripe enough.
I wanted to ask you too about Monday night when they did the video tribute to you and they put you up there and the fans stood. Like I was really excited for that. I remember when you first came back as the coach of the Capitals first time. That was a special night too. But I got pretty reminiscent from the start. I was excited because you come in here, you face the music, as you mentioned. Not everything has gone great last year, so I was glad that they recognized the whole arc of your career.
Well, I appreciate it. I looked at some of those videos. I didn't recognize that young man. But yeah, I mean, I have a love affair with our fans. I always get emotional when I talk about that whole thing, but they get it. They get it. They know where my heart is. So all that is good. That as I say, that was sort of awkward for me. I don't like that stuff.
Yeah.
Especially I'm on there. I'm like,
yeah, get the
I
camera.
don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So I just want to be. I just want this team to be successful, and I've done some things that are a little bit untraditional or brave or bold or crazy, whatever people want to describe it. I've done it, and I'm not too worried about it. And once I do it, I'm fine because I believe in it. I don't do it just as a reaction or to save my job or to just do stuff. I do it for what I think is best for the group, the organization, whatever. And I think that's how I've always approached it.
Predators GM Barry Trotz has been our guest on D-Mace, Vingen, and Donick. He joins us usually every Tuesday, but there wasn't a game yesterday, so he joins us today at 5 o'clock. Yes, I am fun, Barry. Despite what some of our listeners may say.
Just so you know, Barry, he did not write that himself.
No.
Even though you might think he did just for his own morale.
I don't recognize my own handwriting. I haven't written on a piece of paper in a long time. So, but I am fun. I just want to make that abundantly clear to everybody.
Kind of.
Well, okay, kind of. Predators GM Barry Trotz has been our guest. Barry, thank you so much for your time. We'll catch up next week.
It's always a pleasure. You guys do a good job, and hopefully we'll have a fun game like we did the other night. I'll tell you what, the Minnesota Wild, they've got some really good pieces, especially on the back end. Hughes and Faber and that, and then obviously Kaprizov, and they're a force. So this will be a really good game. They're a really good team, and Billy Guerin's did a hell of a job. Getting through the cap hell that he's gone through in the last couple of years, and their scouts have done a good job, and they're ready to roll. So they're in our division for the next number of years. So between them, Colorado, and some of the other young teams, Utah's an up and coming team, and took them forever. It seemed like to get to this point, but they're on their way. And you see what Chicago has had some lean years; they're starting to come. So our division is going to be a bear for the next number of while. And as I said, the best teaching tool that you can have for your hockey team is good competition. And in the early years, the Detroit Red Wings and Colorado were those ones for the Preds. So we're going to be in that same spot for a number of years.
Congratulations on the retirement, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, take care.
Predators GM Barry Trotz has been our guest on D-Mace, Vingen, and Donick. We will react to what Barry had to say. You can as well. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingen, 1025. The Game. D Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Always a pleasure to catch up with Predators GM Barry Trotz. You okay over there, D Mace?
Yeah, I plugged something in.
You've got too many wires over there,
Yeah.
man.
I plugged something in wrong. So
You got too many wires.
I plugged it into high maintenance Hertz.
Yes.
Her's computer.
Yes.
So,
Well, Max High Maintenance Hurst will have pregame for you. Predators versus Wild coming up at the top of the hour.
yeah, but I like it. Man.
I like Max too.
Max. He taught me how to so once people get here the next time and people are out, he showed me the button I need to push to make sure the sound goes out to the crowd.
Yeah.
Because I think the crowd would like that.
Max,
I think they would like that.
Max is great.
See, there we go. I think
there
they
it
would
is.
like that.
Max is great. He's just high maintenance, and that's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. He's not rude about it.
And that's not an insult. That is just a fact of life. Always a pleasure to talk with Barry Trotz. And before we had Barry on, we were talking about the NHL trade deadline, which is roughly a month away. The NHL's Olympic roster freeze is now in effect. So no players can be traded for the next 2.5 weeks or so. So you're not going to see any trades basically through the month of February as the league breaks for the Winter Olympics in Italy. But clearly, Derek, I am the villain in this story as I read all of the texts on our text line 615-737-1025. But you know what? You heard Barry Trotz in one of his responses say something that stood out to me. He's trying to build a new core.
Yes.
And I thought he made an appropriate comparison. In 2023, when the Predators traded Matthias Ekholm, Nino Niederreiter, Mikael Granlund, and Tanner Jeannot, he's absolutely right that Matthias Ekholm is still the best player playing in the NHL in that trade.
Yes.
But when the Predators were going to be competitive again, he's going to be older. He wouldn't be the same Matthias Ekholm. And that's sort of the point I am trying to make to all of you when I argue for how I would approach the NHL trade deadline. Somebody on our text line said, there are so many texts of people just being mean to me. I mentioned Michael Bunting. I said the bare minimum. I would do at the trade deadline. I would trade Michael Bunting and either Eric Halla or Michael McCarron. And someone on the text line, I can't find the text. Why would you trade Michael Bunting? Well, Michael Bunting, he's 30 years old. If the Predators aren't going to be competitive again until Michael Bunting is 34 or 35, he's not going to be as useful. So, again, I know you like to joke that I am not fun, even though this sign says I am fun. I am willing to sacrifice short-term fun for long-term gain. By the way, one texter says, no, Adam, you're not the villain. You're the hero. Thank you. This team needs to sell if they want to win a cup. That should be the end goal. And this is the question I have for all of you Predators fans. And Predators fans are filing into Bridgestone Arena right now. If you are within the sound of my voice, you can come and yell at me in person if you'd like. But this is the question I have for Predators fans. And it was influenced by a text we received earlier from Craig. Craig said, what does it say to the players, fans, and season ticket holders that after the team fought its ass off to get back in the race, that your calculator and analytics say, sorry, guys, y'all don't matter. If they were totally out of it, I get it, but they aren't. This is my question for Predators fans. 615-737-1025. What's more important to you? Is it more important to you that the Predators are consistently in the playoff mix? Maybe they make it one year, maybe they don't. But they're in the mix, they're in the race every year, almost every year. And if things just break right, maybe they can win a round or two. Is that what you want? Or do you want a team that has a legitimate chance to win a championship? And oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes, teams that win championships do have to undergo some remodeling, which means some lean years on the ice. So that's what I'm asking. What's more important to you? I have said this before. Derek, you like to snicker at me when I say this, but I do mean this. I've been around this fan base now for more than 10 years. This fan base, I think, is mature enough to handle some of those lean years.
No. I'm just going to be honest.
You're selling them short, I think.
I'm not.
You are not giving them enough credit.
No, this is sports fans all across the globe. If your sports team, your primary sports team, goes through a complete rebuild, I will stand with you for a year, maybe even 2. But after that, I'm calling for some heads after that. I'm calling for some people to be fired. I'm calling for things to change, even all the while knowing what the process was going to look like. That is, and I'm not saying this is exclusively to Predator fans. It's fans across the board, Titan fans across the river. They think the same thing. You go down to some other city, I guarantee you it's the same thing. Everybody wants that change and that success. But are you willing, like truly willing, to go through the hard times? See, fans say yes. But then once you in it, again, I've been through it. I've lived it in Detroit. And they went through it for a very long time. It seemed like every year was a rebuild, even with Barry Sanders. The fan base, your fan base will become apathetic to what it's just like they don't care no more. Yeah, we agreed to it. Yeah, we were like, yeah, rah, let's do this tear down. But I will bet you a dime to a donut that after 2 years, if this team isn't showing progress, this fan base will start to complain first, and then they will check out. That's every fan. And the Predators are, when you talk about doing things within the arena and making everything fan friendly, they do it better than just about anybody. But that only goes so far when your team's not winning. And the fans, Nashville Predator fans ain't no different than anybody else. Any other fan, like hardcore fan out there. They're no different. We'll stay with you for a while, but if you're not showing improvement, if you're not winning at a clip that we think you should be after 2 or 3, then we're looking for change.
My point is, I am also looking for change. And I will stand by this. The ceiling for this team, for as exciting as the recent comeback wins have been, for the way they've played for the past 2+ months, it's still, to me, a low ceiling. I think tonight will be a great test. They are playing the Minnesota Wild, one of the best teams in the Western Conference. Barry Trotz mentioned it. Quinn Hughes, arguably the number 1 defenseman in the NHL, has been on this team now for, a month and a half, and he has made this team extra dangerous. Their numbers, their offensive numbers, have popped since he joined the team. So let's see how they do tonight. And I hear what you're saying, Derek. I think you're making valid points. I think that Predators fans, I say this nicely. I do think that Predators fans have been spoiled because this team hasn't really undergone that period. I don't consider the beginning of the franchise that way because expansion rules in the late 90s and early 2000s, no team was going to be good right off the bat. It's not like it is now with Vegas and, to a lesser extent, Seattle. But my point is this. I just think that this team, as it is built right now, I think their max is a first-round exit. And I could be wrong. And you know what? I am okay with being wrong. I am not one of those people who doesn't like to admit when I'm wrong. If this team goes on a heater, makes the playoffs, pulls an upset off in the first round, I will be the first person to let all of you dunk on me. I said this yesterday. If they make the playoffs and win a round, I'll let y'all come up with something humiliating for me to do. And you know what? I am okay with that. I truly am. But I just think that if this team, if there is an opportunity for them to get better in the long run, I think they should take it. If a team calls Barry Trotz and gives him a Godfather offer for Ryan O'Reilly, you absolutely have to consider it.
Of course, because you're going to do what's best for the organization.
Because, as he said with Matthias Ekholm, Ryan O'Reilly has been outstanding this season. But when this team, when those prospects that Barry Trotz talked about, and they're perhaps ready for the NHL, O'Reilly's going to be in his late 30s. He's not going to be the same player.
And listen, I'm not saying that you're wrong, and obviously Barry spelled it out. And he sort of painted the picture, and he knows, he understands it. And what I'm saying, and what you're saying isn't wrong. Like something needs to happen that get this team, heading in a direction that is a little bit more, exciting or whatnot. But the fan base, they're bickering right now. They are uneasy right now. They are on the roller coaster right now, and they're complaining. Just think, if this team do exactly what you are proposing them to do, and I'm not saying that it's wrong, do you think that this team is going to wait around, that this fan base is going, if they're already bickering now, and maybe they're bickering because they want it to happen, okay, and because they've been sort of in this lull for the last couple of years, so I can understand that. But they're bickering right now, and this team is sort of on the edge of a playoff, and they're still bickering. Just think when this team's not on the edge of the playoff for the next 3 or 4 years. What do you think they're going to be doing?
Complaining.
Exactly. Absolutely. So, again, what you are suggesting may be the route that they have to take, but I'm not gonna be naive to think that, okay, by you taking that route, your fan base at a point of time, if you're not showing that you're developing and that you're on that path, that they won't check out after a while.
615-737-1025. All right. Before we go to a break, Adam in Portland. Adam in Portland says, Adam, if the Predators make the playoffs and win in the first round, I want you to go to the same restaurant 3 weeks in a row and tell them it's your birthday. The first time it's going to be awesome. The second time they're going to be a bit confused and people will be talking. The third time every single person will be super pissed. We'll put it on the list. 615-737-1025. A lot of reaction. We see your phones. We see your texts. We'll get to them next. Predators versus Wild coming up at 7 o'clock. Pregame at the top of the hour. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
Derek Mason here. If you've injured yourself in a motorcycle accident, go to lawtigers.com for your free case evaluation. Even if your accident was months ago, you have nothing to lose by calling Law Tigers. Insurance companies want to pay out as little as possible or nothing at all. But Law Tigers fights to get you the compensation you deserve. They don't get paid until your case has been settled, and they understand how much your bike and gear means to you. So they will help you get it all repaired, or better yet, replace. So call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or visit lawtigers.com. Law Tigers is powered by Freeman and Houston, and you can find them in Nashville, located at 2126 21st Ave South. And don't forget, go to predatorsbike.com. Again, predatorsbike.com to enter to win a custom Nashville Predators Indian motorcycle signed by the entire team, courtesy of Law Tigers at Music City, Indiana. Law Tigers, Tennessee's motorcycle lawyers.
D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Predators pregame with Max Hers coming up at the top of the hour. Predators versus Wild at 7 p.m. The Predators' final home game before the NHL's Olympic break. So last home game in about 3 weeks. So if you're not here, you should get here. A lot of reaction to our conversation on our phone and text lines. Let's go to our phone line first and welcome in Nate in Columbia. Nate, thank you for waiting. Go ahead.
What's up, guys?
Hey.
It depends on what kind of fan you are, on what you want to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is, are you a more new fan, or have you been around for 10, 15, however many years? I've been around since about 2011. And so obviously I went through the cup run and everything. So I want to actually win the whole damn thing. Now, someone that's newer probably enjoys the wins, every day or whatever right now. And don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the win on Monday. It was a great game. But I'm looking at the long picture, long term.
Thank you for the call, Nate. I agree with Nate. I'm glad somebody else agrees with me. Greg says, Adam, you are the villain because you won't drink sweet tea. That is true. And that is a deep cut, Greg. That is a deep cut. I hate to say this now that I'm being amplified inside Bridgestone Arena. I despise sweet tea. Ugh. Ugh. Gross. All right. Back to the Predators. One texter says, Adam, or is it Alex, like Willie called you that one time, I understand the need to retool if the players are not good enough to get past the first round. However, this team is only playing half a game and finding a way to win. If they make the playoffs and play a full game, they are guaranteed a slot in the Stanley Cup. I'm really hoping that last part is a joke. Because if the Predators play a full 60 minutes, they are not guaranteed a slot in the Stanley Cup. One texter says, this caller, meaning Nate, is spot on, and I've been a fan my whole life, and I'm 25. I want to win it all. That's what I'm talking about.
But okay, if you want, I understand the point of, and I think new Predator fans want to win it all. I think everybody wants to be a part of a winning organization, especially those who win championships. But with, like our caller, who's been a Pred fan since 2011,
yes,
are you willing to endure what it may take to win that Stanley Cup? Are you ready to possibly go through what the Red Wings went through all the while? Red Wings got championships in their trophy.
They do.
In a trophy case. So their fan base may be a little bit more patient with them. And I guarantee you, if you ask people in Detroit, it's like, no, you need to win. We don't want to sit in this lull that we've been sitting in for the longest. But now seem like they are back to where, or close to where they used to be. But we don't have any championships to show for it to kind of be like that sort of goodwill, that we can sort of hold on to because we won a championship. You don't have that. And if that is indeed the case, then how long realistically will your fan base hold on? That's my whole thing. I'm not saying that the whole, the rebuilding process isn't what they may have to do. But I also know, as a guy that has been a part of sports, that have been a part of teams, that not only do the players get restless, but the fan base gets restless very fast. And we know what happens when fan bases start to really get loud.
One texter says, or it's our friend Michigan, who says, I don't know what's worse, the traffic on 24 to get to downtown, or all of you who think a tank is guaranteed to win the Stanley Cup. It's not a guarantee. But I also think it's inaccurate to suggest that rebuilds don't work. The Avalanche missed the playoffs 6 times between 2011 and 2017, which allowed them to completely reshape their core. Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, Mikko Rantanen, Gabriel Landeskog. And now the Colorado Avalanche are a threat every single year. So this is what I'm – look. Mm-hmm. Again, if I have to play the villain, I am okay to play the villain. But I see a team in the Predators that has not won a playoff series in 8 years. the first round of the 2018 Stanley Cup playoffs. That is the last time the Predators won a playoff series. They lost to Winnipeg in the second round. Then they lost to Dallas in the first round. Then they lost to Arizona in the qualifying round in the COVID bubble. Then they lost to Carolina in the first round. They got swept by the Avalanche in the first round. They lost to the Canucks in the first round. It has been nearly 8 years since the Predators won a playoff series. Don't you want more than maybe making the playoffs and seeing if, quote unquote, anything can happen?
I mean, you deserve more.
That's my point.
You deserve more than just the playoffs, I think, especially if you have a team that's consistently in it. Yes, you deserve more than playoffs. But are you willing to wait and live in the basement for some years? And it's not even, a sure shot that you are going to, to do the things necessary to make yourself a franchise that wins championships. So that's not even guaranteed.
Scott in Shelbyville says Chicago, Detroit, Buffalo, any Canadian team for the last 25 years, Columbus, so on and so forth. Just as many or more examples of total rebuilds not working as there are Avalanche examples. Plus, now it would be exponentially harder because just like last year, Matthew Schaefer goes to a team behind you. Yes, I know the draft lottery and all of that stuff. But look, I know that there are countless examples of teams that are rebuilding where it hasn't led to the ultimate goal, at least not yet. But there are other examples. The Tampa Bay Lightning had to rebuild before they won multiple Stanley Cup championships. Steven Stamkos was a part of that rebuilding process. The Pittsburgh Penguins had to rebuild. The Boston Bruins had to rebuild at one point.
But you talk about teams with championships already in their back pocket.
Well, when was the last time? Before Boston won in 2011, it had been a long time, I would have assumed, since the last time the Bruins won a championship. Like, I get, like, what's going on. Like, your point is what's going on in Chicago right now. By the way, it was a rebuild that led Chicago to drafting Kane and Taves and winning multiple Stanley Cup championships. So, but your point is that teams that have championships, their fans may be more inclined to be patient because they've reached the ultimate goal.
Exactly.
Versus the Predators who have not at the moment. One texter says a tank isn't a guarantee to win the cup, but staying status quo is a guarantee to not win the cup.
No, not really.
One texter says, I'm with you, Adam, but the people against you say they want 2017 again, but don't want to go through the pain to be able to have the 2017 feeling for a decade. They'd rather be mediocre and win some regular season games and have a random run in the playoffs every now and then.
But Adam, you said it clearly.
Yes.
And and that question sort of prompted that thought, what you talked about. This fan base has, in a sense of not having to endure really bad lean years, this fan base has been spoiled in a sense. So when you talk about, that 17 run, well, before that, it ain't like they had to go through this, basement dwelling for a long time, and then all of a sudden, here we go and we get on our Stanley Cup run. That was a good team. They had been building to it. It wasn't like, again, they were just completely bad, and then all of a sudden. What you're talking about now is this team possibly breaking it down to the studs and being very bad for a good bit. And then, we may get a Stanley Cup run, which doesn't guarantee you a Stanley Cup.
I know that the biggest fear for a lot of Predators fans is that they become the Buffalo Sabres. And the Buffalo Sabres have been wandering through the wilderness for a decade and a half. It looks like the Sabres are finally going to make the playoffs this season for the first time in a decade and a half. And I know Predators fans are scared poopless, because I can't say the other word, scared poopless about that potential, potentially happening. But it doesn't have to take that long if done right. Teams can turn themselves around in a few years, but either way, whether it's a retool on the fly, a rebuild, whatever you want to call it, it will require a real step back. And that's what I'm talking about here. So I think the games especially over the past few weeks, have been a lot of fun to watch. And I think you can have fun watching the games while also being realistic about the big picture. Keep in mind, as I've said, the Predators needed multi-goal comebacks to win each of their past 3 games. They were down 3-0 against Ottawa, 2-0 against the Islanders, 5-1 against the Blues. That's no way to live. Why do you want? I mean, like, it's exciting.
Yeah,
it's exciting. I'm not going to take away from the fact that the game on Monday was exciting. It was, but you think that's a recipe for long-term success? That's part of my argument. One texter, and I think this is the okay. I think this is a good way to end the show. One texter says, Adam, you talk so much and a lot of BS. I really don't like listening to Ron Slay, but here I go. STFU. I don't know why Ron Slay caught a stray.
Yeah, me either. I don't know why I like Ron.
I like Ron too. So
why he catching strays?
I don't know. Like I said, I'm willing to be the villain in this story.
Listen, I understand that, there's going to be 2 sides to this. But I think everybody, and even though I said you may have to sit in the wilderness for 4 or 5 years, I understand what Adam is saying. I do. I understand it. So it's not like I'm against Adam. I'm just sort of giving that alternative. Like, okay, if they do it, then possibly is the fan base ready for this? That's all my thought is.
Well, we'll see what happens tonight. Predators versus Wild at 7 at the top of the hour. Just moments away. Max Hers has your pregame coverage. We will talk to you tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
Be love on your people. Have a safe, blessed, and wonderful day. I love you. The team loves you. You hear that music. Don't you forget about us. We will not forget about you. Tomorrow, we will be back at the studio, and the show starts at 3 p.m. So have your ears open and be ready to listen. Peace. I love you.